Good evening and welcome back to Let's Play Along the Edge. When we left off last time, we were about to start Chapter 2. So, let's get in here. So we're settling into our life in our new village. Starting up some classes. I think things are going to work out well for us here. September. I've decided to take advantage of the weekend to go back to the market. I'm pretty sure someone will finally agree to tell me more than the tidbits I've gathered until now. Certainly, rumor-mongering, people love it. Especially about this Maltaire family, which seems to mesmerize half the village, while the other half looks terrified by the mere mention of its name. So, what I'm wondering, because we know this is going to be about witchcraft and science, right? So, who's the witchy family? The Maltaires or our family? Or both? Are they like rival witch clans? Like to see how this plays out? I should start with the bakery. Mrs. Bechard should be about to finish her season. She doesn't risk much in sharing some gossip, since she'll soon be leaving until next summer. I make out Gerard Bortine on the other side of the square. He's talking to someone, a tall man with certain composure. I could walk to him so he introduces me, but the bakery is about to close, and I might not get another chance to question Mrs. Bechard. What should I do? Well, let's go to the bakery first. We can always talk to Mr. Bortine later and ask him who the gentleman we saw him talking to was. Hello, Mrs. Bechard. Ah, hello, miss. You're in luck. I was about to close. Yeah, I know. You're finishing your season? Yes, I am. We've stayed a bit longer than we anticipated, but that's it. We're leaving. 2 weeks off, and we're moving to the Alps, my husband and I. We're doing the ski season there. Oh, it's going to be quite a change. Yeah, pleasant little summertime village to snow. Can't say I'll miss the place. It paid quite well, but I don't like the atmosphere around here. No? So, it'll be one baguette, as usual? And a little bit of juicy gossip. Sure, but I wanted to ask... Yes? What do you know about the Maltaires? Told you, I don't like to talk about them. I don't want any trouble. Oh, come on, you're leaving anyhow. Yeah, you'll be leaving. I really need to know. Nobody tells me anything, and you said you were leaving. You seem like a fine young woman, so listen to me carefully. She takes me by the arm, puts her face close to mine, and whispers. The Maltaire, they're sorcerers. That's how they hold everyone in their grip. If you do something they don't like, bad things happen. Like I'm buying the... Okay. I know that the game is about, like, science and sorcery, so it seems like, okay, it's possible within the realm of the game that there will be magic, but thus far it's presented to us just a basic, regular world. And no, I utterly do not believe. Look, I love to read fantasy books and stuff. If magic could be a real thing, awesome. But no, I've never seen any kind of evidence to support such a thing. I'm not buying it. So, unfortunately, Ms. Bechard. How do you think I got this job? Bakers don't take a 3-month holiday. Mr. Blanchard, the owner of this shop, spent 3 months in the hospital, the poor soul. He fell all the way down his staircase. And you think the Maltaires did that, eh? The other shopkeepers, they told me he had had words with the mayor. With the mayor? The mayor's a Maltaire, huh? Well, sure. Yves Maltaire. He's the mayor of the village. Didn't you know? Well, no, nobody tells me anything around here. No, I didn't. Apparently they had a talk one evening, some petty quarrel about the land register, a fence that wasn't at the right place or something, and then, bim, the next day, he falls down the stairs, just like that. Do you really believe in all this? Well, I usually only trust what I see, but you know, I must admit it's troubling. It seems awfully coincidental. This is kind of tough. So, if this is a decision that decides whether I'm actually going to take magic seriously or not, I'm thinking, joke about it. It's a coincidence. But politeness is important too. She's obviously believing it. She's very concerned. She's been kind to me. So I don't really want to I don't want to poke fun at her. Courtesy wins. Thank you for agreeing to talk to me. I'll be discreet, don't worry. Well, you know as much as I do now. Be careful around them. I wouldn't like it if something happened to you by my fault. Well, thank you for your concern. Don't worry. Goodbye, Mrs. Bechard. I wonder if that other guy was the mayor. Talking to Mr. Bortine. I look around the square for Mr. Bertine and this mystery man, but they seem to have left in the meantime. I'm sure I'll get another opportunity to talk to him. Too bad. Then I shop around, asking about the Maltaire while refilling my fridge at the same time. Unfortunately, now that I've been identified as the young heiress, the villagers have become mute, strangely polite and distant. Yeah, 'cause they're scared of you, too. As I bring my groceries back to the car, rain begins to fall. And it doesn't stop for the whole weekend and the start of the next week. I'm at school, teaching geometry to one of my classes when nature finally cares to give us the sun back. But my respite is short-lived when I discover, a bit later, a convocation to the director's office in my teacher's room locker. Oh? Even if I'm on the other side of the fence and I no longer risk a detention, I must admit I'm a bit worried, which adds a threatening feeling to this otherwise radiant September day. Well, it could be fun. Maybe he's just checking in. When I venture inside the director's office, I discover that Mr. Chestnut, the director, is having a heated debate with someone who must be the rather annoyed mother of one of my pupils. What's wrong? The poor man is livid, using his desk as a shield, and he's so hunched up in his big leather chair that he seems to be about to melt into the upholstery. Please, Mrs. Oh boy, these French names. Leviquet? You must admit that your demands are most unusual, to say the least. Don't forget that Mrs. Delatour is only here for 6 months. Everything will go back to normal once Mrs. Dupuy comes back. What, she doesn't like me being here? 'Cause I'm a Delatour? Ah, here she comes. Monsieur Chastenay, would it be Chastenay? I think so, stares at me with an imploring gaze, as if I was his only hope. Okay, well, if you're not going to stand up for yourself, yeah, I'll go ahead and be brash. Did you ask for me? Yes, please, take a seat. Let me introduce you to Mrs. Leviquet, mother of Jean-Baptiste. You know, your 6th grade student? What, is he a troublemaker? Okay, he's introducing me. We'll go right to her. Hello, Mrs. Leviquet. Pleased to meet you. I'm Daphne Delatour, Mrs. Dupuy's substitute. I'm pleased to tell you I don't have anything to say against your son or his work. He's a brilliant student. Well, that's good news. She's going to say something about us, though. Are you kidding me? You must have guessed I come to hear praises about my son's skills in mathematics. Well, I don't know why you would be here. Listen, Mr. Chastenay, I'd rather not talk to this... Excuse me? I'm the teacher. If you have a problem with me, you can talk to me. Anyway, we came to an understanding, you and I hope you'll keep your word. No. You're not coming to understandings behind my back. Have it out with me. What's going on? Jean-Baptiste's mother tries to stare me down, but we're not letting her. Don't you let her, Daphne. From the corner of my ear, I hear the director mutter in his beard. But I didn't agree to anything. No, you say it out loud. I don't know how to deal with this situation. After a couple of very long seconds, I give up and say, What's the problem? I'm sure we can find a solution. How to tell you this? Madame Leviquet would like to remove her son from your class. Why? All right, we'll attempt to be a little bit tactful. I have a feeling she's being horrible for some stupid reason, but instead of just being defensive from the start, okay, what's the problem? We'll give her an opportunity. We'll take an opportunity to try to be understanding and see if there's a legitimate issue. I don't think there is. I don't understand. Everyone seems happy with the way I work. That's still very defensive, Daphne. You just need to be professional and say, I don't understand. What's the problem? That would have been enough. Why would you want to remove your son from my class? This has nothing to do with your teaching. Well, what's it have to do with? Mrs. Leviquet, be reasonable. You can't ask us to change the classes like that for no good reason. For no good reason? Ah, that's it. You too are falling under the Delatour spell. What are you talking about, lady? This family of pagan miscreants? What? You've just arrived here, and like that, you should get away with anything. What do you even think I'm getting away with? But I see clearly through your game, and I won't be fooled like the others. All right, what do you see? Do you want to tell me what you are? Why don't you tell me what you think I am, Beatrice? A witch. What? It may be unwise to make me angry that no. Don't believe in witchcraft. I'm not gonna... How ludicrous... I wish there were an option to be like, you're a freaking nut, lady. Witches aren't real things. You're crazy that you're actually accusing me of being one. Calm down. I wish... No, I'm a good witch. No, I have nothing to do with these stories. I don't like what you're insinuating, and I refuse my name to be associated with these archaic beliefs. Yeah, go you, Daphne. I'm a scientist, and I assure you that I don't give any credit to this nonsense. And you, Mr. Chestnut, I hope you won't let yourself be influenced by all this obscurantism. Yeah, I mean, you're the principal of the school. Come on, buddy. You have a mother in here saying, your substitute teacher is a witch. And instead of standing up to her and saying, listen, you're not. Do you realize what you sound like? Do you hear yourself? Instead, you're being all browbeaten by her. Come on, buddy. Grow a backbone. I would gladly keep on talking, but Mr. Chestnut cuts in to stop the discussion. See, I was sure that we would come to a consensus in the end. There's no consensus. I just called you guys out for being foolish. I hope your fears are lifted, Mrs. Leviquet. No, it's not going to do it. And you, Miss Delatour, I'd advise you to be very careful about the progress of our dear Jean-Baptiste. Can I count on you? What do you mean? You can't count on me to give him good grades unless he earns them. Of course, sir, I assure you. What? Ugh, you're in league together. There's no other explanation. Actually, there is, and it's that I'm not a witch. You, the Delatour, you won't get away with it. I'm not done with you yet. You hear me? Yes, I hear you. Then, without notice, she gets out and slams the door behind her. There's an awkward silence, quickly broken by Jean Chastenet, who better say something like, oh, crazy parents, what can you do? Third time she bursts into my office, just for this nonsense. Yes, it is. I believe I owe you one, Daphne. I don't know, I don't want to upset, okay. I want to play it indignant because we have a right to be. This was a ridiculous situation. He's the boss. He's supposed to be in charge of handling parents, and her complaint was ludicrous. So he should have been able to take that well in hand without having to even bring me here. But instead, he just kind of stalled and mumbled things at her until I came in and took care of the situation, which is so much bull. So yeah, he really does have a nerve. But, we're new to the village. We're trying to make a new life for ourselves. We're really enjoying teaching. We only have the substitute position right now. We would love to turn it into something bigger. So, career-wise, it's probably better not to upset the principal. And it's probably better to stay on his good side, and maybe we can actually get a job. So, we'll be pleasant, even though I'm really disappointed in the way he handled that. You're welcome, sir. Soothing the irrational fears of students' parents is also a part of the job description. I don't think that's really the teacher's position. This really feels to me, if it's, my oldest son just started school, and I'd think if any of the parents were like, that teacher is a witch, that seems to me so far beyond anything a teacher should ever have to deal with. That is a situation for the principal to step in and say, you are being utterly ridiculous, and if you want to take your kid to a different school, fine, take him to a different school, but you're not going to treat my teachers like that. That's my thoughts. All right. When I finally managed to get out of the college, it's almost dark and rain is pouring down again. As if today's events hadn't annoyed me enough. I can't believe this woman came around and criticized my work. No more, I can't believe she accused me of being a witch. It's absurd. And on which grounds? She couldn't have been more unfair or ridiculous. Seriously, we're not living in the Middle Ages anymore. They would have burnt me at the stake for much less back then. Just because of these stupid superstitions. I've lit up a cigarette and I'm brooding, sitting by the window. When suddenly I see the headlights of a car in the road bend. Who's coming to visit? I'm surprised to see it turn at the gates and go up the path to the house. Who could come see me this late? Mom, maybe? I mean, we don't really have any friends. I think I recognize this dirty gray van with this ladder on its roof and its patched up back view mirror. How is it possible? Why would he have come here? Oh, it's our stupid boyfriend that we broke up with? Get out of here! I run down the stairs. I open the front door. Frank? Dude, what are you doing? You didn't even call? If this is supposed to be romantic, I need you in my life, so I came and drove uninvited To your house. Like, no. Close the door on him, Daphne. My ex-lover is there, on the other side of the threshold, drenched by the relentless rain. And he's going to stay there. My heart goes down to my socks at the idea of seeing him, talking to him once again, just when I had resigned myself to the fact that he was but a remnant of the past. No, if we broke up, we broke up. Happy at first, no. Then not so much. How did he know? How did he find me? I purposely did not see him before I left. I'm very annoyed that he's here. I haven't even told him I was leaving. Daphne, how long do you plan on letting me wait outside in the rain? Forever. We have to talk. No, we don't. We're broken up. Done. Don't talk to him. Ugh. But what are you doing here? Frank is in the hall, and he's a little bit annoyed. Frank is annoyed? Frank is annoyed. Get out of my house, Frank. I'm fine, thanks for asking. No one invited you here. I have a phone. You could have called me. I know we broke up, but I don't know. Did it even cross your mind to call me to let me know you were relocating to the other side of the country? No, we were broken up. It's not your business. No, Daphne, now is the time to be firm. Put him in his place. You mean what? Tell me. Yeah, it's none of your freaking business. It's none of your business anymore. You said so yourself. We broke up. All right, then why do I still get your mail? Care to explain? Okay, but dude, come on. That's a really flimsy excuse to think that you still get a chance to weasel your way back into my life. Maybe I just forgot to put in my forwarding address. A lot's been going on. My mail? Yes, a letter from your mother. I know you've drifted apart, so I thought it might be important. Well, you could have forwarded it to me. You could have called me to let me know. There were way less dramatic ways to let me get that information. And then I had to track you down, and it wasn't child's play. It would have been easier if you had left me your new address. You don't need my new address, buddy. Since I'm between jobs, I told myself I could take a couple of days off. And, okay, you can give me the letter, and now you can turn right back around and drive yourself home and do whatever you want with the rest of your days off. Frank smiled at me, looking amused. Then, pretending to check out the room, he adds, Funny, I've always dreamed to spend a weekend in a bed and breakfast. Or should I say, a castle and breakfast. Get out. So, do you like it? It's a bit bigger than our old flat on Main Street. Daphne, don't play along with this nonsense. Do you manage to find your way to the bathroom each time? Frank... Believe it or not, I've always known you were cut for being a baroness or something, don't you think, Lady Daphne? Stop kidding and get out of my house. What, don't you like baroness? What about countess or duchess? Duchess sounds perfect, don't you think? Frank is walking around the hall, checking out the furniture and the trinkets. He's making himself at home. Boot him out. If he's good at anything, it's probably at disarming any tense situation. Do you mind if we talk tomorrow? I have to admit, I'm exhausted. No, you don't get to just stay in my house. As he says that, he takes a letter from his chest pocket and puts it on top of the chest in the hall. Your mother's letter. I'm sure it's not easy for you, but if you need to talk about it, I'm here for you. Now, get out. Thank you. Well, I'll go crash on your sofa for a couple of hours if you don't mind. I do mind. Get out. Oh, frustrated that I don't have an option. There's like 4,000 rooms up there. I can't let you sleep on the sofa. You can. You actually can tell him he can go sleep in his car, or go find a hotel, or go do whatever. Dad, she's being way too easy on him. As you can tell, I would be furious if someone just shows up at my house like that after I specifically didn't tell them where I left, that I left or where I went, and then acts all like they have a right to be there and like I was being difficult by not telling them where I went. It's so much bull. Oh. I kind of really hate Frank right now. I'll set you up in a guest room. Don't let him be a guest. Even better, show me the way. We broke up. Get him out of our house. I wake up early the next day. Frank must still be asleep upstairs, and as I know him, he won't wake up until a couple of hours. Well, let's go check out the letter then. I don't feel like getting up yet, so I decide to snug up under the covers a bit longer. When I think about what happened yesterday and the strangeness of the situation, Frank is currently sleeping in a room next to mine. If there were 400 rooms or whatever, why'd you put him next to you? Put him as far away as possible. Put him in the shed. Can't believe he went all this way just to bring me this letter from Mom. No, the letter from Mom is a pretext. He's trying to weasel his way back into your life, especially now that instead of being stuck with him in a little apartment, you've inherited this big, lovely house. Don't let him in. Does he regret we broke up? Is this letter nothing but an excuse to see me again? It is, and a weak one at that. And who cares if he regrets? It's done. I was ready never to see him again, not after all we went through. Yeah, hold firm to that resolve. Stick with it. We met 10 years ago. It was so unexpected. We were on completely different trajectories. He was a carpenter and I was a freshman at the university. Science major. Had just arrived in town. There was a party at an acquaintance's. Still don't know why I was invited. I don't know why I went either. I guess when you're 20 years old, you jump on any occasion to go out, and I suppose the idea of getting out of my student room was enough to convince me to put on a nice dress and to jump on a bus. Frank shouldn't have been there either. He was working on a particularly demanding project, but our hostess had insisted until he had given up and agreed to come. I guess even science can't explain everything. We clicked together right away. What came next is very trite. A couple of years later, we moved in together. It was stupid to pay for 2 flats when we were living with each other all the time. 2 years ago, we took a step further. Frank's small carpentry business was doing well. My PhD was on track. The question came out on its own. Frank asked me if I wanted to have a child. He was sure of it. He was so sure of everything. Of the strength of our relationship, that he didn't want to wait any longer, that it was the right time. I had cold feet at first, objecting that I wanted to finish my PhD first, that we would have to think about it, but he managed to convince me. It wasn't that hard. I loved him more than anything, and I knew that sooner or later I would want to start a family with him. Why wait? Well, you had valid reason to wait. You have these career goals. Having a kid's going to make it harder to finish that. Although, those didn't work out anyhow, but we were happy. And then, late in the pregnancy, a couple of weeks before the term, I lost the child. I can't even imagine how horrible that would be. They made me keep this inert thing in my belly until the doctor decided to induce labor. Oh, how horrible. They didn't understand what went wrong. Frank stayed with me at each step. He was holding my hand as I was expelling death from my bowels. Oh, jeez. The doctor refused to let me see the baby, objecting that it was too much for me to handle. But I saw the look in Frank's eyes when they pulled this motionless and silent corpse out of me. What, something was wrong with it? I hung up to him as much as I could, but I could feel this hollowness in my chest all the time. I didn't want to admit it, but I knew something was irredeemably broken. Frank decided to incinerate the body and to scatter the ashes. Burying the body meant naming it, making it, in a way, exist, and it was much more than we could bear. I was unable to have an opinion about anything anyway. When the first shockwave and the tsunami it created in our lives finally receded, I realized my couple was doomed. We did all we could to overcome this ordeal, but sooner or later we had to face the obvious. We broke up without a fight. We had both decided we had enough. Frank kept our old apartment, and I took a furnished flat in the meantime. Then, a couple of months later, the notary told me my grandmother had just passed away, and she had bequeathed everything to me. I take a quick shower, then I go downstairs. Noises from the espresso maker tell me Frank found the kitchen. Okay, so obviously that's a really sad story. It's a horrible thing. And I don't know that anyone necessarily did something wrong there, but I don't know. I misassumed some things. I assumed that it wasn't that long-term a relationship. I figured it was maybe like a couple years, 5 years or something or whatever. And 5 years is still pretty long, but still, I assumed they broke up about something else. And if you're broken up, you're done. This sounds like, I don't know. But they broke up. They broke up and they both kind of felt like it was done. So if it's done and it's run its course, it's done and it's run its course. You gotta let things go. Move on. Mom's letter is still propped on the chest in the hall. I'll have to resolve myself to open it sooner or later. What should I start with? The letter, because I don't really want to talk to Frank. The envelope is dog-eared and a bit yellowed, as if it had traveled a lot. There's a foreign stamp. The ideograms tell me that it was probably posted somewhere in Asia. I open it with a shaking hand. It's the first news I've got from her since several years ago. Something like, 5 years, 6 years ago? I can't remember the last time we talked. Frank has never even met her. In 10 years? She's always been an abusive mother, extremely invasive, but equally severe and freezing cold. I mean, in that case, we kind of might as well burn this and not read it. When I turned 18, I got a scholarship, which enabled me to earn some financial independence, which quickly turned into total independence. Could no longer put up with her invasion of my privacy. Little by little, we lost touch. One year, I excused myself from coming for the holidays. The next, I just sent her a greeting card. Started to filter her calls, and one day, this phone stopped ringing. Hey, if that's what works. If it's a crappy relationship that just makes you feel bad to try to keep it going, let it go. That's how the link was broken, and years have passed without me really noticing she wasn't there. When I tried to contact her, she had disappeared without a trace. I must admit, I hardly tried to find her. And now, from nowhere, she comes back into my life with this letter. Her nervous, jerky handwriting hasn't changed. The content of the letter, though, is as cryptic as it is brief. Daphne, please don't accept your grandmother's heritage. Don't go back there. You'd only get into trouble. Regards, Sophie Delatour. Well, thanks, Mom. Too late, and that is so vague. A letter that vague, coming from someone who's always been a really terrible mom that I've had an awful relationship, more than anything just to... I don't know. I'm contrary and spiteful. Makes me cling to the idea, oh no, we are staying here, we are putting in roots. If you can't give me a real explanation for why not to accept it, no. The closing says a lot about her qualities of heart. I wasn't waiting for a your mommy who loves you, but, well... Mom never talked about the time she'd spent here with my grandmother at the castle. It quickly seemed to me that something might have happened. But what? I let my thoughts wander about this as I enter the kitchen. Frank is holding a mug of coffee, and he's distractedly looking through the French window. So you've managed to tame the coffee maker? You know me, without my daily dose of caffeine, I'm a bit of a zombie. Did you sleep well? I don't know, I'm feeling a lot less hostile to him now that we know more about their relationship. And probably I should have withheld judgment in the first place until I'd known more about it, but just the way he showed up seems so... I don't buy into the idea of these, big romantic gestures of someone just, without asking and without discussing with a person or anything ahead of time, just, I dropped everything to go cross-country for you. Well, if I didn't ask you to, didn't want you to, it doesn't actually mean anything. Creepy stalker, back off. So, it just rubbed me the wrong way that he did that. But they do have 10 years of history together, and most of it was very good history. She was saying how very happy they were in love, things were wonderful, until this tragedy that really wasn't the fault of either of them. Maybe it could be beneficial. I don't know, is it beneficial to talk to him? I mean, she said they tried to work through it, and it just, something was broken and it was done. Is it gonna hurt more to try and make it work, but it'll ultimately fail? Is it better if we just realize that it's done and let go? Or, in their grief, did they maybe just... I don't know. Maybe they really do need each other, and they were sidetracked by grief or something. It's a little more complex than I was giving it credit for. I guess I have thought about things. I must admit, I didn't sleep much. With you being here... I know, it brings out some old stuff. And you might have guessed, I haven't traveled 300 miles just to play the mailman. Yeah, I had a feeling. So, okay, we'll hear him out. What is it you want to say, Frank? I had a feeling your coming wasn't totally innocent. I guess you know perfectly well why I'm here. No need to beat around the bush, then. Tell me, Daphne, what do you think? Should we try to start anew together? I don't know. I don't. I mean, maybe. Maybe. I know, I was a solid no before we knew the backstory. I was so mad at him, but Now that we know the backstory, I don't know. I mean, we had a lot together. Perhaps there is something we could still build something on, but I don't know. I don't know. I need to think about this. Okay, I understand. For me, it's very clear. To my surprise, his face relaxes without notice. He looks at me playfully and changes the subject. Okay, so he's interested in starting it. I'm interested in the idea of cautiously maybe trying something. I don't think it's necessarily wise that he just moves into our castle with us, but... So seriously, what have you been doing here all this time? Yeah, trying to figure out my family history. Tell him about my new job as a teacher. He's more interested in the village, and he insists on knowing every detail of this unbelievable story with the Maltaires and this tower with no way in. No, tell him about the lady who accused you of being a witch. There's a story. I also tell him about Mom's letter. He doesn't know what to think about it either. So, your stories are very exciting, but also a bit worrying, I must say. This is what I propose. All right, what you got? Whatever happens, I'll be around for a while. I don't have any contract in the foreseeable future, and I can afford to take a couple of weeks off. After that, I'll see. If I manage to find some jobs around here, I'll stay a few more months. It's not as if anyone was waiting for me to come back, and it would give us some time to think about things. Do you mind if I stayed at the castle for a couple of weeks, until I find a room somewhere else? All right. Now, this is good for you, Daphne. This is a good compromise. Okay, so I could just straight out rather not, and I would have been excited about if we'd have had the option when he first showed up to just slam the door in his face. Bam, door slammed. But as I just said, I'm thinking maybe it might be worth it. Might be worth it to try to salvage things here, because it's not like there wasn't infidelity or abuse or anything like that caused us to break. It was, it was just tragedy, unpreventable tragedy. So, I don't know about a couple weeks, but you can stay a couple days, and yeah, we can try things slow. Did you think I would throw you out? Of course you can stay for a couple of days, the time you need to get your bearings. But then you can go to a hotel. Thanks. That's nice not to turn me into a homeless person. Oh, you still have your home back across the country or whatever. You're 300 miles away. Don't thank me. It's the least I can do. No, he should thank. He did just show up out of nowhere. So how do we make this work? I don't want to be in your hair. No reason to feel crowded. The house is big enough for the two of us. If you really want to help, why don't you work with me and try and find the door to the tower? That'd be cool. I was just thinking. I'll tell the wardens you're here before leaving. I don't want Mr. Bortine to shoot you like a rabbit if he sees you hanging around the house. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. We should definitely let them know. That's very reassuring. Oh, he's a kindly old guy. Don't worry about it. Don't be silly. They're very nice. You'll see. I've really got to get going. Enjoy your day. You too. I try to put my thoughts in order as I drive to school. It's quite a lot to digest. The day flies by, fast as an arrow. I must admit, I'm not thinking straight with all that happened since yesterday. I mean, it was a lot. Accused of being a witch. Ex-boyfriend shows up out of nowhere. Letter from estranged mom. It's a lot. When I get to the castle, lights are already on. Even if it's temporary, glad not to be alone for a while. It's a nice change from the solitude I've experienced these last weeks. Yeah, I mean, this looks really pleasant. Everyone just hanging out for friendly dinner. Frank has lit up the fireplace, and delicious smells are coming out of the kitchen. It seems almost too perfect, and I have a hard time refraining myself from abusing Frank, who seems determined to see to my every need. Still, he manages to remain quite discreet. What did we really say abusing? We take our meals together, but we otherwise tend to our things in different parts of the house. As promised, about 10 days later, he tells me he's rented a small furnished flat in the village, and he's moving in the next day. I was a bit relieved to see him go. I had a feeling that, if we'd stayed a bit longer, the situation would have become awkward. This could still be good, though. This is probably better. To take our time, slowly, maybe reconnecting, but each having our own place that we can return to where we don't have to worry about bumping into the other. Days, then weeks go by, and I get back into my routine between the school, the village, and the house. I'm taking a walk in the forest, and it looks lovely. The leaves are already turning, and the trees have dressed up with the flaming colors of fall, my favorite time of year. It's getting late, but I'm too busy strolling on the path. I realize it's almost dark. I can see the castle at the end of the trail, but as I get closer, it seems to move away from me. I feel like there's a presence behind my back. Although I tell myself I don't believe in this stuff, I'm slowly giving in to panic, and I'll admit I would too, even though I don't believe in that stuff. There's times, when you're out and it's kind of getting to be dark, like if you're in the woods, it can be spooky. Mind plays tricks on you. I start running. The house has disappeared completely, and I find myself in a kind of meadow. There's something there, at the center of it, that's gently reflecting the moonlight. As I get closer, I discover it's an oval pool filled with a silvery liquid. I look at my reflection, and it's both me and not me at the same time. This feeling of alterity gets stronger and stronger as I'm getting closer. I can make out my facial features, but something has changed. Grandma? I'm wearing a short skirt with black thighs and some kind of fashionable short jacket. I'm wearing makeup, much more than usual. The most shocking is my hair. It's terribly short, kind of bob haircut, platinum blonde. I look angry. I reach toward the reflecting surface, my index stretched out, and the mirror starts to stir, as if it was resonating. When my finger gets in contact with the cold and strangely moist surface, it breaks into 1,000 pieces. For a while, darkness is complete. I'm in a kind of garden, surrounded by a heavy fog. I'm moving toward a reddish light source that's calling to me like a lighthouse in a woolly, muffled storm. Okay, so my family is witches, huh? I can make out a statue of a kind of human-sized sphinx carved in granite. There's something majestic but profoundly sad in the hunched-up, impassible attitude of the creature. When I'm close enough to distinguish its face, I realize the creature and I look exactly alike. I see my face reflected in hers like a mirror. Then the eyes begin to animate, and the imploring, helpless look seems to call for more mercy. Okay, that would freak me out. The statue opens its eyes. I'm frozen in contemplation, my heart overflowing with sadness and awe, when once again I feel this sickening presence, like a tepid breath on my nape. Seized by terror, I struggle to turn around, and suddenly I'm falling endlessly before darkness encompasses me. That's when I burst out of sleep. Alright, now that's so... Was it all a dream, or did something really happen while we're out in the woods? Well, we will find out, but not right now. I'm going to go ahead and wind the episode down here. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. Come back in next time. We'll start up Chapter 3. This is kind of exciting. We're getting into the mystical stuff.